Hello, welcome to Arcade Couch, the best place to chill with your friends and get your gaming goodness every Monday at 6 a.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time. I'm Ashley Hubley. Joining me today on the couch, Ciaran.
Hi, it is me. I am here. Excited to talk about all things gaming and couch related.
Yep, everything has been sanitized.
How are you feeling? Because I think Dylan didn't
I'm
avoid
feeling
Dylan didn't avoid it. Like, he got COVID from PAX.
Yes, I feel fine.
I'm good. Like,
which is funny because, you know,
you were a hooligan.
I was a hooligan. I was, you know,
were a hooligan.
Turns out PAX AUS is very, you know, just goes everywhere.
Is a social butterfly. Is like up at all hours of the night. There is no sleep for PAX AUS. PAX AUS is...
I mean, yeah. Listen to next week's Arcade Couch, which is going to be interesting. But you know, Dylan got the PAX.
Got the PAX.
Got the PAX COVID. You know,
Exactly.
all the cool kids only got it. I thought it was only for the people who went to like the Fortress Gala or like who went to like big events together. All the cool kids were getting it.
Yeah. No,
Now
Dylan somehow copped it. Which is actually kind of interesting that Dylan got it, because I'm surprised none of the rest of us didn't get it then.
Well, there's still time. The incubation period's like a week, right?
That is true.
So, yeah, you feel better, Dylan.
Definitely, 100%. I've been
very poor timing, you know, but the poor dude got it twice now.
It is the second time. That is rough.
That is rough, so yeah. Alright, on today's show, we'll be giving a bit of a PAX roundup. We'll be talking about CD Projekt Red's future plans and Mushroom Kingdom, here we come. Okay. But first, Ciaran, Overwatch 2, it's come out. It's available for everybody to play, free to play. According to Activision Blizzard, 25 million players have been playing the game in the first 10 days, which is considerably ahead of Overwatch, the original game's performance, which it announced a play base of 15 million nearly 3 months after its 2016 debut. And Activision Blizzard's daily player counts have nearly tripled the original game's peak mark. But it hasn't all been smooth sailing. No. Reading from Press Start, Blizzard has apologized for Overwatch 2's botched launch. Earlier this week, Overwatch 2 developers apologized for what they called a rocky start, but the game has remained plagued by misfortune after misfortune since seriously harming the free-to-play games. The free-to-play's reputations less than a week after its official launch. It started with a pair of DDoS attacks that prevented players from joining active servers during the launch because they were already populated to capacity by malicious traffic. This caused prospective players to sit in queues for hours and hours, sometimes between tens of thousands of other players, while others failed to connect to Overwatch 2's online services entirely. Meanwhile, many players who had successfully managed to bypass the observer queues experienced missing or mistakenly locked cosmetics, inaccurate match history data, and buggy cameras, the issue that fans feel should not have made it all the way to launch day. Finally, on the list of unmitigated Overwatch 2 related pain in the arse, Blizzard's new security requirements. During the login process, players were required to provide a mobile number to correspond with their account to, in Blizzard's words, help count down on both cheating and disruptive behavior. This new two-factor authentication process, however, caused a serious barrier for players who were rejected for using prepaid mobile service providers and for players who do not have an active phone number at all. Fortunately, the profound backlash from players means that Blizzard has since scrapped the whole phone number thing entirely and is working seemingly around the clock to fix the other issues that have been disappointing and frustrating players since day one. Ciaran, what's your experience been? Obviously, you were a part of the beta.
I was.
You had early access. You were at PAX for like the worst of it, but what are your thoughts on the Over 2 launch?
So I'm going to frame this by saying I am like the biggest Overwatch shill, and I'm very positive about this game. I'm way more positive than your average community member or Overwatch player probably at the moment, or at least the vocal minority that's going on online at the moment. I think the game itself is really fun. The game itself feels, it flows really well. It feels like it is well balanced overall. There's a couple characters that need a bit of tweaking. But yeah, gameplay overall feels better than it's ever felt. Players feel like they have more impact, or you feel like you have more impact on the game compared to Overwatch 1. In terms of the pure gameplay of the game, fantastic. Absolutely great. My biggest problem is actually, like, I didn't have any queue problems. Like, I did the first day that I was up to play it, but I haven't really had queue problems. My only problem I've been facing consistently is because of the influx of Australian players on the servers at the moment. It seems to be the case that when there's too many people on the Australian servers, it overflows to Singapore. And so you'll be queuing for a match, and say even if it's a competitive ranked match, you'll be queue, and then all of a sudden you'll queue into Singapore, and you'll get 150 MS. Plus, it can, much worse sometimes for me because of my internet. And it's just one of those things that's uncontrollable. It's frustrating. I don't know how Overwatch 2 handles its lag very differently to Overwatch 1. Overwatch 1 you could play with 150 ping, not well, but you could play. It was manageable. Overwatch 2, it's like characters are rubber banding around the screen. Like it's like everybody has this blinking effect as they're running, so it's very hard to try and 1v1 somebody or to have that. And that, that has a flow-on effect, as I've said. Players have more agency and more impact in the games. That there, in fact, has a problem overall. In terms of some of the negativity that's going on about Overwatch 2, I think the biggest one at the moment is the skins. Actually, you probably haven't seen this, but if you were to buy every skin in Overwatch currently, and that's included because all the Overwatch 1 skins are available to buy with real money, how much money do you think it would cost to buy the lot?
Oh, like at least $10,000.
Yeah, okay, it's $12,000. It is a straight.
Threw out a joke number.
Yeah, no, it's a straight $12,000 at the moment.
Okay.
Which has pissed quite a few people off. And I'm in two minds with this. Yes, that number's very bad. That number's not great.
But how many skins are there?
There's a lot of skins. There is, say, if you
are there 12,000 skins?
No. Well, the problem is, right, that all of the Overwatch 1 skins are still available to purchase, but because of the transition to the real world currency, the skins have been given a real monetary value now. Yes. So, a legendary skin, which is quote unquote was the best skin in the game, is now worth $20. I think it's
sounds
30.
reasonable.
I think that's $20 American, $30 Australian.
That sounds about on par with a lot of these titles.
Yeah. So, that is, and so if you were to go back and buy old skins that players used to be able to get for free, you'd have to purchase them with real money. There's no way you can get them for free anymore.
So there's no way to earn skins.
Not
currently.
Well, so if you were to wanted to buy one legendary skin, there is the only way at the moment you can earn coins in game for free is by doing the weekly challenges. Roughly at the moment, the math works out to be 38 weeks of doing the weekly challenges to get one legendary skin.
Okay.
So this is my one point is yes, Overwatch, the team at Blizzard do need to put more ways, like if it's in the battle pass, they need to put more ways to earn coins in games. Even if it's just like, I think this is where I think it's limited. I think if you look at some battle passes often contain enough coins in the battle pass to pay for your next battle pass, to reward you for completing the entire battle pass. So I think that's the thing they should do, is in the battle pass, have enough coins if you complete the entire thing to get the next battle pass, or spend the coins on a skin if you want to. I think my big point is, at the minute, Overwatch players are very entitled. Extremely entitled. Because Overwatch 1, you paid your $60, or your $70 or $80, or however much you paid for it, sometimes $30 or $40 in the later stages.
Yep.
You paid your money, and then everything past that in the game was free. It got to the point where, at the end of the game's lifespan, players were sitting with thousands of loot boxes unopened on their accounts. Because they had anything, and they had everything, and there was no point opening loot boxes anymore. Because you got a loot box every time you leveled for free.
Okay.
And so that means so even when you were opening loot boxes that you got everything from the loot box already, you would get coins from them. And so everything in the game was obtainable for free.
Okay.
Once you paid your $30, $40, $50, $60 to get into the game, you didn't have to pay another $1 for anything. You could just, if you wanted to.
You didn't have to. You could.
You didn't.
Yes.
You could, but you players were very easily able to get absolutely everything for free.
Mm-hmm.
Event skins, like pretty much everything was in the game was free, and I think a lot of players are now feeling like it's not fair that Blizzard now wants you to pay for all the skins. And I think a lot of the things that people don't like pointing this out or don't like acknowledging this is the Overwatch 1 system. Yes, it was very fair to the player, almost too fair to the player, but it was unfair to Blizzard. Because they were expecting like 6 or 7 years of that game for $30 or $40 or $50 or however much you paid for it.
Mm.
Yes, in the first couple of years, Blizzard did stupid amounts of numbers of money. But that money didn't continue when the player base died slowly. And the devs had to switch their focus to Overwatch 2 to be a actual serviceable system. I think, yes, in 2016, Overwatch and the model was absolutely normal. In 2022, the live service that has frequent updates, battle passes, paid skins, is the way to go about it. Is the industry default right now. And I think so many games are succeeding because of that, and Overwatch has followed suit. And to me, it's ridiculous because skins aren't important. Skins don't change the game.
They really don't matter.
They don't matter. It's just so you look a little bit fancier in game. You've already, from the player perspective, if you just switch all of the character models to the new Overwatch 2 character skins, technically you have a new skin for every single character that you haven't seen before or haven't been playing with for the last 6 years. There is new skins. You don't need them. They're not entitled. I think too many people are complaining that people need to pay for the Battle Pass, or that the free Battle Pass only gives you a couple skins in it, or that, you have to get to level 55 in the Battle Pass to unlock Kiriko, which I do think that needs to be probably a little bit lower, like maybe level 30 to unlock the character. But I don't think it's an issue. The game isn't designed anymore to have absolutely everything available. It is designed in a way that players can play their favorite characters without the need of feeling like they're going to get card counted, or that they're going to get counterpicked into their character not being viable anymore in the game, and they're not going to have fun. That's not the way Overwatch works anymore. I think the system as a whole, the game is fantastic. Yes, there is plenty of bugs. There is, and you kind of have to, it's no matter how many people, like no matter how much testing they've done prior to this, there's no way you could test everything. Like, there was a problem with account migration, to migrate your console accounts and PC accounts all into the same thing. And people were like, well, why haven't you tested this? Well, yeah, they've probably tested it with a couple people, but they haven't tested it with hundreds of thousands of people all doing it
with
at the exact same
all
time.
different types of accounts,
yeah, exactly.
lengths, and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
There's no way to account for every single
You can't account for that.
possibility.
You can't test for that. It's going to happen. The game is a work in progress, and, people are like, oh, this just feels like Overwatch 1. I'm like, well, yeah, it's like saying NBA games feel like NBA games. It's like, fucking hell. Like, they're not trying to entirely change the game. And I think the problem is that their messaging had to change. When Jeff Kaplan was the previous game director on this game and Overwatch 2 was announced with a very different feel in mind. Overwatch 2 was announced as another box game that was going to give you your PvP and your PvE in career mode at the same time. That was his viewpoint and his marketing. And that isn't what Activision Blizzard wanted. That isn't what the game industry really can do anymore. I just don't think it's viable to be that way anymore. And I think the biggest problem is just people are so... they feel so obligated and so entitled to things for free now that all the issues are non-factors. People can get over themselves. The fact is, the people complaining about, oh, I can't buy the skins, or people in uproar about not being able to get the old skins for free, or paying for the old skins and then being $20. Most of the fuckers already have these skins, or they either have the skins already, or they didn't want them in Overwatch 1. yes, the communication from Blizzard hasn't been the greatest. They didn't really communicate how coins were going to change properly, because the old legacy currency is still in the game, and it now actually has monetary value.
Okay.
You can use the legacy. Yep. Sorry.
Yeah. So if you've been playing the game Overwatch 1 since launch,
and you hadn't been touching your coins,
all your coins from your unopened loot boxes.
Yeah, because they all got opened for us September 14th. Everybody's loot boxes got auto-opened. And so people were going into Overwatch 2 with hundreds of thousands of dollars of coins. Hundreds of thousands of coins, which relates to, I think it was, the math was something like 1,000 coins is like $10. So,
that's a lot.
Yeah, people were getting a lot. And I guess Blizzard, probably to Riot and probably to themselves, didn't communicate that was what was going to happen. Didn't really communicate that there would be monetary value associated. So probably a lot of people spent all their coins in Overwatch 1. And were like, well, we're not going to be able to access this stuff in Overwatch 2, so we'll buy it.
All the skins and stuff carry over, right?
Yes, correct.
1. So they're not losing anything.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's just one of those things. But no, I am absolutely in love with the game. I'm so excited for battle passes. I'm so excited that there's challenges in the game. I think free to play is fantastic. I think once this game settles, once the server settles, once they do some work, once they fix out some of these bugs, I think this is absolutely fantastic. And to see Overwatch surge in popularity and see so many big streamers and content creators playing Overwatch now and enjoying Overwatch and not cheating on Overwatch, and having fun with the game, I think it's a positive overall. I think no game release has these problems or these kind of no other game releases can avoid these problems. It's out of Blizzard's control that they got fucking DDoSed on day one, and they keep getting DDoSed since.
Did they though? Or is it they just servers are tiny? But
no, I think there's because these issues happen every time Blizzard.
So if it happens every single time, is it Blizzard not launching properly, or is
I feel like it would be
they're being targeted every single time?
I feel like it would be inappropriate and for them to say it's a DDoS account. A DDoS attack, if it isn't a DDoS attack. Like, I feel like I would have to give them, even though they're a corporation, they're Activision Blizzard, they've done many bad things, I'd have to give them the benefit of the doubt. Because the moment we start believing that companies are going to use that to their own advantage is, it very much turns into the boy that cried wolf. And yeah, it's just not going to take it seriously anymore, and DDoSing in general is still a serious issue.
Right. And then the security thing, dude.
Oh, I was a little bummed that this got removed. Like, I get it. I don't think it was a problem too much in Australia because Australia doesn't have the infrastructure and around tracking.
It does. Yeah, we can't track
prepaid
who's
numbers.
On prepaid and
yeah,
who's not,
exactly.
Yeah.
So I think all my friends that had prepaid numbers were still absolutely fine. I do know of a couple people that actually changed over their phones to plans because when it was the first thing that's prepaid because they didn't want to miss out, and that fucking sucks, and that's really shit for them. I think it's an infrastructure thing. This is a mainly American thing. I do get it. It's pretty much saying, it set a it
was a little bit classist.
Yeah, it was very much a bit classist. Not even a bit. It was very classist. It was very much saying, hey, if you're too poor, you can't play our game. And that is inappropriate, and that is wrong. But I think it was coming from the right place. I think Blizzard were trying to, or Team 4 was trying to come up with an idea and a way to stop and stem the new player experience, to stop Smurf accounts, to stop kind of unbalanced ranks through these accounts and player activity. It should just be force everybody to have two-factor authentication on their phone, and they can only have it for one account per phone. And do it that way. Sure, there's ways of getting around it, but it's a hassle, and it's an extra layer of added security for your game. Yeah, I think they had to roll it back. They had to give everybody the opportunity to be able to play the game. But yeah, we're here now, and it is what it is with it.
Yeah, I've got it installed, so maybe one day I'll boot it up and see what
once
the big
Dylan's feeling good, we'll work out a night and we'll hang out and play.
All right. news and previews. We've got a bunch of stuff going up to the website around PAX Australia. If you go to explosionaut.com/PAX AUS 22 PAX AUS 22, we've got a bunch of previews that we shot in first impressions. Got a bunch of previews going up later this week probably. Of course, you can listen to our last week's episode of Arcade Couch, where we were like live on the show floor at the Audio Technica booth, discussing some of our favorite games. But Ciaran, do you want to give a shout out to a couple of games?
Thinking about? I still think about very much, which I spoke about in like Box Night. I think Box Night was great, and I'm looking forward to its full release. Tempopo seems like a really fun game, and I'd love it on my Nintendo Switch. Just to hang out and play. I think even to see like this week, seeing Dredge was charting in the Steam Next Festival is like in its top 10 for the amounts the downloaded and positively reviewed games, and I think it was the highest one from everything at PAX. I think there was such a wide range and variety of things at PAX. I think what we've been doing to give it, I don't know, not just a pat on the back, but even for us writing it, it's a great reminder of how much great Australian games were on show at PAX. I have a random question for you at PAX. About PAX, right? Just not to jump in too much with this bit, but do you feel like you, coming after PAX, I feel like I missed things. Like,
definitely.
Where the fuck was this Skull of Bones wheel that I saw?
Oh, that was an invite-only thing.
Oh, okay. Wow, we weren't cool. Okay. The other one was, Lenovo had an Alone in the Dark booth? Where the fuck was that?
There was a bunch of play-on games. I think they were at the Lenovo booth, or one of the manufacturer booths.
I just saw no... I went around Lenovo like a couple times, and I just saw no advertising or visual for it. I keep seeing people talking about Alone in the Dark. I was like, where the fuck was Alone in the Dark? I feel like the only AAA or big games I saw was Sonic Frontiers and Street Fighter 6.
Yes.
Like, it's very strange. Very strange.
It was very strange. Yes, I want to shout out Dredge. That's a fun fishing game. In the kind of like Moonglow Bay, but more of a Cthulhu setting. Night crawlers, PvP dungeon crawler where you like build up your character over 3 minutes and then you fight each other. What else? There's so many games, like it's hard to keep track. Dead Pets Unleashed was my favorite game for the show. A narrative adventure story where you play as a demon girl who's in a band. Lots of visual novels titles that were there at PAX, which don't necessarily demo well. There was a lot of stuff that we wanted to play that we didn't get a chance to. But check out all our coverage at explosion.com/PAX AUS 22. Exciting news, though, coming out from the Victorian government in the wake of Melbourne International Games Week. On Friday at PAX, the Minister of Creative Industries, Steve Dimpolopoulos, joined local game developers to announce a game industry funding package of more than $5.25 million. This package works in three ways. The first is a $2 million boost that will see the expansion of Melbourne International Games Week for the next 2 years. The boost will go towards creating more events to bring interstate and international gamers, as well as showcasing the developer talent of Victoria on a global stage. As well as a $2.5 million investment from Victoria's Labor government will go towards establishing more collaborative game industry workplaces and business development services in Melbourne CBD. And finally, a new $750 million government funding initiative delivered by Vic Screen called Originate Games will offer funding for up to $50,000 towards the development of new ideas and mentoring opportunities from industry experts. So exciting new funding coming to Melbourne. Melbourne Games, International Games Week, going to potentially be even bigger next year. Very exciting. Hopefully that means a bigger PAX next year.
It is very positive though, and I think the Victorian government's actually pretty progressive in terms of Australia at large, in terms of supporting and funding these types of things and being prepared to jump into the space. We've had the Melbourne Esports Open funded very heavily by the Australian government, and hopefully that is in line to come back in a larger and bigger way. We had DreamHack hosted in Melbourne this year. PAX is continues to be a staple and continues to get even larger. I think it's very exciting as a Victorian to know, despite our shitty internet connection in general for Australia, we're still willing to support and invest in this industry.
Yeah, it's definitely be interesting to see the amount of funding that certain states have put in. Obviously, Victoria putting a lot of money in there. Some would argue that Melbourne is the center point of video games development in Australia. I heard after the ADGAs, apparently one of the guys over Player 2 made a remark like that Melbourne makes the best games in Australia. And that post did not go down very well with the rest of Australia.
Visiting the indies and talking to a lot of indies. For me, it seems like it's Adelaide. Like there's a very
there was a lot of funding from Adelaide, the South Australian government, to send a lot of studios from Adelaide to PAX. Of course, couple of big studios in Brisbane. I feel like New South Wales is lagging behind, but
yes,
was I didn't hear many Sydney studios. So New South Wales government, stop putting some money into video games. Is what we're saying. Stop building them stadiums and stop building some virtual stadiums. All right, let's get into some news and kind of jumping out of Melbourne International Games Week. We had the results from this year's Australian Game Developer Awards. So I'm just going to run through the winners. Studio of the Year, Gameloft. Adam Lankman Award, Clara Reeves. Ambition Award went to Ryan McMahon. Rising Star Award went to Raymond Corrigan. Excellence in Ongoing Games, Games of Service went to The Oregon Trail. Excellence in Emerging Games, Student or Early Career. Winner was Queer Man Peering into a Rock JPEG. Excellence in Serious Games, applied in the Impactful. The winner was Kind of World. Excellence in AR VR, the winner was Table of Tales, The Crooked Crown. Excellence in Mobile Games went to Wildflowers. Excellence in Accessibility, presented by Vic Screen, was Lost and Hound. Excellence in Technical Design went to Age of Darkness Final Stand. Excellence in Music went to Cult of the Lamb. Excellence in Sound Design went to Heavenly Bodies. Excellence in Narrative went to Wildflowers. Excellence in Gameplay went to Cult of the Lamb. Excellence in Art went to Cult of the Lamb. Game of the Year went to Cult of the Lamb. Unsurprising that Cult of the Lamb kind of dominated.
Very much so,
because that is a fantastic game. But yeah, a lot of great games on the list that missed out on any awards, like Heavenly Bodies, Justice Sucks, Wayward Strand. I saw people upset that it didn't come away with anything. Yeah, good year for Australian games.
But I think we have been now. I think this is like maybe the second or third year in a row we've had like a big Australian game. Like I think we've had, Cult of the Lamb has been massive. Untitled Goose Game. I feel like we like unpacking, yeah, very much so.
Artful Escape, some would say,
yeah. God, I love Artful Escape. But yeah, to have these games starting to make an impact in international games media, not just locally, I think is absolutely fantastic. And it's a positive, and it shows the development that deserves to be here. We've had 2K and bring out so many games for Australia and have so many of the teams located here. I think it's great to display that there is more talent than just that in Australia, and hopefully we start seeing more and more larger companies investing here to kind of grow and spread the talent that is here.
Absolutely. So yeah, very exciting. You should check out all those games if you can. So this is a story that kind of broke last week when we were at PAX. CD Projekt Red announces multiple Witcher games, a Cyberpunk sequel, and a new IP. Reading from Well Played. During its group strategy update, CD Projekt Red has announced 3 new Witcher games, a sequel to Cyberpunk 2077, and a brand new IP, are all in development. We know precious little about these upcoming projects, as they are in various early stages of development, but the codenames and general information of which has been unveiled. The next game in the Cyberpunk series, currently referred to as Project Orion, will be developed by CD Projekt's new North American studio, and will apparently fully unleash the potential of the Cyberpunk universe. It looks like the Witcher IP will be going to work out over the next few years, with 3 titles in active development. The first, named Project Polaris, is the new title that CD Projekt Red and previously announced back in March. The game will act as a launching point for a new trilogy, with the second and third installments set to be released in a 6-year window that will begin with the launch of Polaris. The next Witcher title, Project Canis Majoris, will be separate from the aforementioned trilogy and held by an external studio under the supervision of devs that have previously worked on the series. The third and final Witcher title announced is Project Sirius, in development at Boston-based studio Molasses Flood. This Watcher game will feature both single-player and multiplayer gameplay. Very little has been said about this project, but a story, quest, and campaign has been confirmed for the single-player offering. Lastly, CG Projekt Red announced that they're working on a brand new IP named Project Hadar. It's yet to reach the development stage, but it's currently in the earliest stages of the creative process. This will mark the first title that's been created entirely from within CD Projekt Red. Ciaran, how do we feel about all this information?
I think, you know what? CG Projekt Red has had a resurgence as of time, and this shows us the wonderful accelerated properties of a Netflix anime series that's actually very good. Cyberpunk Edgerunners came out to critical acclaim and fan fame. Like, it is.
Have you watched it?
Not yet. It's on my list of things to go and watch. Apparently, it's absolutely amazing. It's really
it is fantastic.
And that has shown Cyberpunk have its kind of all-time high of concurrent players and downloads again across all platforms. People are really invested in loving that game right now, and I think to capitalize on that and show that CD Projekt Red are willing to, continue that project and continue that franchise, and they've kind of shown a lot of hope and positivity around it. Like, it's very good.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, to announce all these different projects. Probably good timing that it's after the resurgence of Cyberpunk, because obviously, if we'd had an announcement like this before Cyberpunk come out, this would be like the biggest story in the world. It's like Cyberpunk, CG Projekt Red was arguably the biggest studio and the most well-regarded studio in the world on the back of Witcher 3. But with Cyberpunk 2077, they've kind of tarnished their reputation a little bit. But yeah, this seems to be a lot. All of it makes sense though. Cyberpunk, let's just have another crack, see what we can do with what we've learned. The Witcher is one of the biggest properties in the world at the moment. Obviously with, again, the Netflix series. The Wild Hunt being a massive success still years later. Why wouldn't you want to try and capitalize on that? But yeah, you worry about them spreading themselves too thin, but it sounds like, they're getting other studios involved. It's, I think, super ambitious to come out and say, hey, we're going to have a trilogy of games that will be you'll be able to play within a 6-year period. Surely they can't be the same size and scope of Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. They'd have to be much smaller experiences. Yeah, the idea of a multiplayer game in the Witcher universe is intriguing, I guess. And yeah, I know. And obviously they've got this new IP that they're working on, so yeah, I think hopefully they're kind of building back their goodwill towards the company with all these titles potentially in the works. I feel like they've probably got the money that they can get a lot of outside help and help, fast track a lot of these projects, I guess. But yeah, it seems crazy that they've got all this in the works in the next however long. Admittedly, though, they did announce Cyberpunk 2077 way too early, so it's not unheard of. And I'm sure there's a certain element, seeing as they're being heavily funded by the government, that they need to explain what they're spending the money on. So exactly. That's probably why a lot of this information has come out. So.
Yeah, 100%.
All right, so this week we also got a sneak behind the curtain of PlayStation Plus and Xbox Gamepass. Apparently, Sony paid $3.5 million to secure Ark Survival Evolved as a PlayStation Plus title in March of 2022. The information was shared as part of an SEC filing from Studio Wildcard parent company Snail Games, VGC, as reported. The report also included some information about Studio Wildcard's deal with Microsoft to have ARC titles on Game Pass. The initial agreement expired in 2021, but was then extended for ARC Survival Evolved, while ARC 2 will be on Game Pass for 3 years. The company recognized $2.5 million in revenue related to the ARC 1 perpetual license for the 6 months ended June 30th, 2022, and deferred $2.3 million related to ARC that is included in the long-term proportion of the deferred revenue. Ciaran, what do you think of those numbers?
Yeah, it seems about right. Like, it's interesting that they have had to do as such. It's funny that, it's funny, but it shows how much investment these companies are putting into their catalog systems. I think it's a little worrying for Sony, right? Like, Microsoft, you know how deep the pockets are. They are fucking infinite, just wells of voids of money. Yep. Sony, and one of the things we've talked about often when it comes to Game Pass and why it wouldn't be good for Sony and stuff like that, is because Sony's a very different company, and Sony can't afford to keep making these decisions. And it's interesting that they're willing to spend the $3.5 million. Like, and you know what? Vin Diesel being on ARC 2 probably bumped it up $1 million. They were like, shit, like, we got to put another $1 million on it now that the man himself is involved. But yeah, I just think it's interesting to see this is coming around, and the I'm interested to see the extent Sony is willing to invest in the PS Plus catalog and the PS Plus showcase system to make it successful.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting kind of look at the costs of how much these studios are getting. Admittedly, this is a pretty big game, although it is several years old by the time, obviously, these deals came into line. It isn't surprising that Sony paid more for like a month of access, because obviously what they're doing is they're giving the game away for free in perpetuity as long as you subscribe. So that was understandable. And again, like for that kind of deal, Sony's only doing 3 games a month. So whereas Xbox is for the length of Game Pass, as long as the deal runs, I guess. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting numbers. It really doesn't paint the entire picture, I guess. How much it'd be more interesting to see what these smaller indie studios are getting paid. Are they getting close to this $1 million mark? Unlikely,
but
yeah, if they're only paying a couple of mil and they're apparently making $2.9 billion a year, are they really? Who knows? Yeah. It's interesting to theorize the map. Maybe Xbox Game Pass isn't ruining games. I don't know, or isn't going to run itself into the ground. Is what
Sorry,
that's what I'm going to say.
Sorry,
maybe Xbox Game Pass will not run itself into the ground. Yet.
I feel like you had to add the yet there to hedge your bets slightly.
Yeah, there's still time, Once they hit that ceiling of use, once they buy Activision Blizzard and they don't, who knows? All right, wrapping up the news for this week. Couldn't pass up talking about this. Nintendo streamed its promised direct presentation for the new CG animated Super Mario Bros. Movie, giving us an introduction to the film from Shigeru Miyamoto, Chris Milaudry, and members of the cast, as well as our first look of the film in its debut trailer. Reading from Press Start, the gorgeous 2-minute long teaser gives us our first glimpse of just a few characters, including Bowser, Kamek, Mario, Toad, and Luigi, as well as iconic locations like the Mushroom Kingdom. And yes, fans finally get to hear the likes of Chris Pratt as Mario and Jack Black as Bowser. And honestly, Mario just sounds like Pratt. Ciaran, what did you think of the teaser for Super Mario Bros. Movie?
Everything up to the Mushroom Kingdom, straight fire. Really good. Literally fire. But straight, like, literally, the whole setting of the Koopa's landing, the little penguins, the humor of the penguins doing this all-out attack, and it's just snowballs that do nothing.
Yeah.
the seriousness of the voice acting. Jack Black's voice acting is amazing. Like, if you just listen to the Bowser, you wouldn't know that's Jack Black. He is.
I think you would, but there's enough there to
know he's making an effort to be the character.
Yeah, but you think Bowser before you think Jack Black.
Yes, 100%. But you get to the Mushroom Kingdom, and Mario is Chris Pratt. And you're like, okay, I get the feeling how and why Chris Pratt is going to be this way. I think I said this to you. I think Mario is, in the Japanese anime terms, is an isekai, where somebody from the normal world or our world has been hit by a bus, probably not that, but has been...
He goes down a magic pipe, just like in the original live-action film.
Yes, he goes down a magic pipe, and he becomes Mario in the game, and that's why he's very confused and new to the Mushroom Kingdom and everything. And that's why it's just Jack Black and not some Italian bloke. Yeah, I get the feeling that's going to be the style of it, or like the overall game of it. I think it'll be interesting. The ones I still want to hear, I really want to hear Charlie Day as Luigi, because that'll be the funny one. Because if he's,
you hear a little bit of him screaming,
even if it's just Charlie Day putting on like a slightly different voice, I think it still works. Yeah, Chris Pratt is, as everybody expected, the sore thumb that sticks out in the trailer, and probably will be the sore thumb that sticks out in the movie. But as a positive, yeah, the whole first part of this trailer was awesome. But also, I love the animation style. I think this looks really pretty and looks interesting, and looks like there has been some attention to detail and time and love put into the at least the animation side of things. So overall, positive. The only negative really is Chris Pratt as Mario.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. I think the trailer looks fantastic visually. The whole, like you said, the whole Bowser opening segment, beautiful. Even the Mushroom Kingdom looks very pretty. We do get this beautiful shot of Mario grimacing, which has flooded the internet. So we can be grateful for that. But yeah, Chris Pratt, it just doesn't quite fit. I think it's not even the voice that he's doing when he's talking. It's like it's just the grunts and stuff. It's like, oh, that's Chris Pratt taking a bump.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Grunty. Ooh, yeah, that kind of stuff. It's like, oh, that's Chris Pratt. You can't put on a voice for that. You know what I mean? Whereas he's doing some sort of accent when he's saying Mushroom Kingdom, here we come. Yeah, I think, like we said, I think it is like an isekai kind of thing where he's probably an Italian American, him and Luigi, and they get magically pulled into the Mushroom Kingdom and have to try and stop Bowser from when he's invincible, I guess. I don't know. Is that, or is it, no, it's a different kind of style, right? It's not the invincible style that he gets.
I don't think so.
No.
I think it's
like a Mario 64 style.
Yeah, I think it's a Mario 64 style is what they're getting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it looks very pretty, so I'm excited to check that out. Toad looks adorable.
Once again, Toad also, because he's voiced by...
he's voiced by Keegan-Michael Key.
Yeah.
But it doesn't sound like
Doesn't sound like him, absolutely.
You know who does sound like Keegan-Michael Key? The Penguin. I'm pretty sure that is also Keegan-Michael Key.
Okay. Yeah, no, I thought his voice sounds completely different, so...
Yeah.
Yeah, very interesting. Yeah, looking forward to it at the very least.
I want to wrap up this episode by quickly mentioning I've been playing FIFA 23.
FIFA. What has you gone on FIFA?
I'm enjoying it so far. I've been playing through some of the career mode. Of course, the big thing, or at least for fans of the show, in FIFA 23 is you can play as Ted Lasso and Richmond FC. So I did that. I brought Richmond FC from the current division in rest of the world and brought them into the championship. And I've been playing through the season. I'm only 4 or 5 games in so far, but very successful. I feel like the difficulty, at least for me, the difference between semi-pro and professional is quite a different distance.
Okay.
I don't know whether it's just me, but on like semi-pro, I'm winning games 7-0, and then on professional, I'm like struggling to score a goal. But yeah, I'm enjoying it so far. That's a fun element. I wish there was like voice acting is the only thing. Like they have press conferences and stuff, and it's just like a random avatar just kind of staring around and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, give me. And the commentary, I just wish mention players' names a bit more, especially when I'm playing as Richmond FC. It's like, say Roy Kent, say Roy Kent.
It's like the things where the classic like, WWE games where you make a create a wrestler and they're like, oh, he's doing it again, the superstar, his his finisher. You're like,
no, it's only when it's the big name characters, but
yeah,
when you're playing as Manchester City or Liverpool. But I've also been playing a little bit of the Ultimate Team, and they've kind of switched up certain elements of it a little bit this season. Of course, you got the basic, like you get your daily objectives and whatever to earn your packs. They've changed the chemistry element of the building the teams, whereas before it was like the positions had to be connected to get the points.
Yep.
It's just within the entire
okay.
team. So that's more helpful. So you don't have to get like a Spanish striker next to a Spanish winger to get connection points. They've also introduced this moments challenges in which you have to like perform certain actions within a set amount of time, like score a goal or whatever, very basic stuff, which you then earn points to collect packs and that kind of stuff. It's fun. I think interestingly, it's a good tutorial. Like that's a good way to like learn the basics of the game and that kind of stuff. And it just adds another element for single players who don't want to go bursting other people online, because they'll get trounced, and an easier way to like build up your squad. And it seems like they'll be adding different moment challenges throughout the season, or at least through the lifespan of the game.
That's
so that's exciting, and the game feels pretty good, at least from what I played so far. I haven't got too much else to say. Apparently, there's going to be a World Cup update. That's kind of been leaked. Like it won't be a paid. I don't know if it'll be a paid expansion or not, but people have been accidentally getting into it.
Oh my god.
That's exciting, and
I think I every time FIFA comes out, I actually have a bunch of content creators that all start playing it, and I always watch just different series, especially Ultimate Team series, just because it's interesting to watch. I do like football, and I do enjoy FIFA. I don't play it. I've always been tempted to play Ultimate Team, but at the same time, I'm like, dude, that's just too much of a money sink. It would be in the end.
It is. It's a challenge to not spend money.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the real challenge.
From the games I've been watching, people do seem to be. It does seem to be more accessible to improve cards and get better cards so far this year than it has in the past. Like I see. I watch a lot of series where people play like kind of without spending money, and they try and upgrade their team normally. And I think the time they spend in silver teams and bronze teams is a lot less these days, and they jump.
Absolutely. I feel like I've got a bunch of gold cards already. Like almost entirely gold. Starting 11 at least.
So it's it's seeing that jump seems to be far easier than it was previously. I shout out to I've got this one creator I watch, Manny, who does like a solo career where he's only playing his player, like he does like a custom player and he plays the career mode and everything. Really cool thing they've added into that is highlights mode, where you don't have to play the entire game. You just play like the individual highlights of that game that are relevant to your player. Yeah,
like the moments, which I'm guessing is kind of pulled from the Ultimate Team element as well. So I think that's very cool, and I think FIFA. It's interesting knowing that this is the last year of this iteration. FIFA as we know it,
as we know it. Yes, correct. Like next year, it's going to be called like EA Clubs or something like that, or Football Clubs or something. So,
also shout out like the opening tutorial of the game. You can either play as Mbappe or you can play as Sam Kerr, and play through like
cool.
Have her as like a sort of trainer thing for like the first little while you get used to all the controls and stuff. So that's pretty cool.
That's cool. Not only Australian, but part of Chelsea. So double fan.
Then that's one thing that's against her, but
double fan. Double fan.
All right. That brings us to the end of this week's episode of Arcade Couch. Yeah, if you want to let us know about any of the stories we talked about today, any questions, comments, concerns, by tweeting us at the Explosion Pod on Twitter, or you can go to explosion.com/Twitter to find all our Twitter handles, or join our Discord at explosion.com/Discord. If you like this episode, thought it was worth it, I'll head over to the Kotaku page at explosion.com/support and buy us coffee. Of course, if you really want to help us out, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, Podchaser. Tell people about the show. Leave 5 stars. Then we can leave 5 stars. Alright. Thank you very much for listening. We'll see you here next week, same time, same couch. Bye.
Bye.